This is the evolution of idiots.
I was a part of a street gang since I was like 15. A rival group did a drive-by in one of the houses that we were all hanging out at. One guy got
I was running a pharmaceutical ring. They're putting flashlights in our eyes, and all of us had like extremely dilated pupils. Yeah.
You have to stick together to try and figure out what works.
I feel like you give up when you end it, not when you fail. So we would do these stupid characters and then just start sending it to our friends. And all of a sudden we would get like 100 views and we're like, we don't have 100 friends. Like, where are these views coming from?
Wow. I've always been thinking, like, what has been the secret to your success? And the answer is Bart Kwan and Joe Jitsukawa grew up working in gangs in the pharmaceutical industry, being kicked out of schools, getting in fights, but they wanted to be better and make good. In 2007, they started YouTube together, building an empire with millions of subscribers and dollars, spinning off businesses like gyms and restaurants, supporting their friends and family. 17 years later, despite YouTube changing so much and fellow creators quitting, Bart and Joe are still going strong, creating content that they love. Today, let's discuss the secret to their success. This pod is sponsored by me. I help build this cool new tool, Karat Insights. If you're a creator, Karat helps you manage your financials and compare how you're doing against peers. More on this later and link in description below. 3, 2, 1. And I love your hands are just, you look like one of those monkeys with the cymbals.
Oh, yeah.
You just keep clapping. Well, both of you, thank you so much for making time. Bart, you and I are glistening a little bit with sweat, although you wiped yours off. And Joe, you're just a fully evolved Asian. You're just cool and fresh.
He likes humidity.
Ice cold.
What's wrong with you?
I don't know. Well, I actually like extreme temperatures. I like extremely hot and extremely cold.
Are you a lizard?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Reptile, huh?
Yeah, seriously. Now, you guys have been doing this now together since what, 2007?
Yeah. It's our 17th year on YouTube.
And the two of you have been doing it together.
Yep.
Where did this start? What was like the meet cute where the bromance began?
The meet cute?
Yeah.
Well, the funny thing is we were friends before YouTube and we went to the same high school, but we didn't know each other.
So were you in different circles?
I signed myself out at 17 because I looked at all the credits I had. I probably had about a year worth of credits. And I said, there's no freaking way I'm going to graduate. I'm going to be like a 20-year-old when I graduate. So I signed myself out and went to adult school. The administrator that day was like, you're making a big mistake. Yeah. And I was like, nah, I'm going to adult school.
So, have you heard of adult school? I think you're too smart for this.
Yeah.
Wait,
you're too smart.
What's adult school? Now I feel stupid.
No, you're too smart.
There's a whole system
You don't know this world.
of second and third chances for people who don't graduate high school. Right? It's called sometimes continuation school or adult school. I think continuation school, sometimes if you're underage, under 18, you go there. You're a juvenile delinquent. You've been kicked out of like 20 schools. No one will take you in anymore.
Or you got pregnant when you're 13.
Yeah.
You had to work and now you come back. Both me and Joe are like troubled youth. So I got kicked out of one school. And then my cousin who went to the same school that Joe went to, he was crushing it because he's one of those kids that just came from China. So he thinks American education is
this is easy for him.
Easy. So he's like calculus president, math club president, captain of the badminton team, that kind of shit. So my dad's like, hey, like, why don't you come over here and go to school with your cousin and maybe his study habits will brush
It'll just rub off on you.
Will rub off on me.
You know, growing up, my parents always told me, they wanted to keep me humble. I'd be like in the accelerated classes or whatever in like 5th grade. They'd be like, in China, this would be kindergarten. But they were serious and I completely believed them. So for like 90% of my life before college, I just thought I was a piece of shit because in China, I'd die.
And that actually worked on you though?
It worked. Wow. No, see, I didn't have my rebellious face. You described both of yourselves as troubled youth.
Yeah.
Right? I was the opposite. I dealt with that pressure by being the best goddamn goody two-shoes possible. It wasn't until college that I had my mental breakdown and depression. It's just a matter, I think, with every Asian American, it's how long can you put it off for?
Yeah, when do you actually rebel?
When do you break? Because it's not possible to stay there. And so you went to adult school. What about you?
So I did another program. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's called the 5 years in high school program.
That would have been me.
Special application rate.
It's called the decelerated program. So you're accelerated. I'm decelerated.
Yeah.
So what ended up happening is I went to Cerritos High School. I got kicked out. So I went to Mark Keppel. That's what school he went to.
Yeah.
After a year there, I wasn't actually doing very well like my cousin was. It didn't rub off on me. And so my parents are like, okay, so you're still on the verge of failing. So like, let's send this kid to military school.
Wow.
And then the military school I went to, you can't come in as a senior because you have to learn all the military traditions. So every kid that comes in, if you're a senior, you just retake your junior year.
That's crazy.
So I was like, you know what? Like, I need to do something with my life. I feel like I'm being a loser. I don't give a f. Let's retake my junior year. I go there. I end up getting kicked out. So when I came back to Mark Keppel, the counselor's like, so do you want to be a senior or do you want to be a junior? And I was like, well, all my friends just graduated. So I got a new set of friends. I'll just be a junior.
You demoted yourself.
You're like, I want to stay with my homies.
Yeah.
Wait, also, how did you get kicked out of military school?
I was running a pharmaceutical ring.
Ooh, sounds sophisticated.
No, we're just slaying E from like dorm room to dorm room. And then there was like 12 of us and we all got expelled.
So they caught you.
Yeah, they caught us. There was cameras. And then it was actually like we were running it for a long time. And it was just one stupid mistake where we were all like high and we're like, oh, you know what? We should go to 7-Eleven and get some orange juice and Gatorades. And so we hopped the fence, started running towards 7-Eleven at 5 a.m. in the morning. And of course, like spotting 12 kids all wearing the same uniform, that's going to stand out.
You're like high, right?
Yeah. So we're not thinking straight. We should have sent one guy, hey, one random white guy, you go run, you blend into the city, Carlsbad. But instead, there's 12 of us all wearing uniforms, running together on the sidewalk. So our principal, he goes and he rolls up on us, goes, got all of you motherfuckers. And then we're like, oh,
hey, you guys look like a goddamn gang.
Yeah, we were successful for a few months. And it was just one stupid, like, dude, we should get Gatorade.
Hey, that's the downfall of every criminal organization. Sometimes you just go too big.
Yeah.
You go for the Gatorade. You got to stay humble.
That one dumb, you know, that like the wife buys the fur coat. It's like
the towel.
It's always you build the whole thing and it's that one stupid thing you do.
It wasn't even the fur coat for you guys. It was the Gatorade.
Well,
at least you guys didn't get caught for the actual dealing. That would have been crazy.
No.
Oh, so they decided to kick you out because they saw you running as a gang toward like 7-Eleven.
Then they really started studying the surveillance cameras and they would see like patterns of people leaving our room, going to other rooms in the middle of the night.
Damn.
And then also at the same time when they had us lined up, like they're putting flashlights in our eyes and all of us had like extremely dilated pupils. So it was just like...
So they just took you down.
Yeah, they just put everything together. And so they're like, okay, all of you guys, this is not even suspension. This is expulsion. All 12 of you guys are gone. Yeah.
And I know, Joe, you've previously talked about, you grew up around gangs.
Yeah.
I mean, sounds like Bart was forming one of his own.
Yeah.
Were you also in the pharmaceutical industry?
Yeah.
Big Pharma.
Big Pharma right here.
Yeah, me and Joe came from Big Pharma.
Around that time, I was still active and I was a part of a street gang since I was like 15.
If you're a creator, Karat just launched this new insights tool that analyzes your socials and financials to calculate how much you're making today and how much more you could be making. You can compare your earnings to that of other creators like you and see on average how much they make and how they're making it, whether it's AdSense, brand deals, merch, or courses. For this channel, I learned compared to other podcasters of similar size, I'm lagging behind in growth rate and brand deal earnings, so I know how to improve. Try for free via link in description below because Karat's mission is to help handle the business side of being a creator. Now back to the podcast.
I was still active and I was a part of a street gang since I was like 15 to 17-ish. I signed myself out of school. And then long story short, when we were a part of a gang, a rival group did a drive-by in one of the houses of my buddies that we were all hanging out at. There was a couple of people in the front. One guy got murdered. He wasn't even a part of our group. And when it came time to retaliate, so there was a lot of things that started to like the facade of older brothers taking care of you. All this stuff of like, hey, we just need to crowdfund some ammo so we could get them back. All this stuff, right? And we would get that money and find out that like maybe multiple guns should have came out of that transaction, but like maybe one or two was there. We're like, where's the rest of it? Finds out that they, use the rest on coke for partying, all this stuff. And then so I started talking to a lot of the members, and we're like, why are we doing this? Like, we're making all this money, we're just giving it upstairs to the bosses, and they're not even taking care of us. And also our reputation is stupid because no one wants, well, we're gonna retaliate, but basically they wanted us to do everything. And it was like, what happened to this whole big bro like thing, right?
Yeah.
Of like, these guys are supposed to show us the ropes. Me and my buddies started to talk to every single member, and we all left together at once, because if one person leaves, then everyone can kind of jump you, right? Consequences can happen that way. But if you get all the young people, you basically disband the whole organization if you do it with everyone.
It's like, we are all out. It's like, who's going to chase after who? We're all gone.
Right. And then I was like, we can still do the same things that we're doing, which is, you know, drug dealing and whatever, without a name. We don't need a name. Why do we need a name? Why do we need these like rivalries? We don't need these enemies. Those enemies are their enemies. Like, it started with their generation, not ours. You know, we're only fighting their wars. A lot of the hypocrisy and like the facade really, like, I guess we started questioning that in when we're like 17 going on to 18, and we're like, all this money that we gave to them, like, what happened? And then we look at other gangs and we're like, they're taken care of. They're a great organization. We had a weak organization. That's what I thought in my head. Like, these guys are whack, like, compared to the other groups out there. Yeah. But that's actually how I kind of got into college, because one of my friends was like, hey, you know, you could get like 3-4 grand with this thing called financial aid. And I'm like, that's like a pound of weed, dude.
That's the currency he trades in.
Yeah.
They'll just give you that.
Yeah. I was like, that's a pound of like really good quality weed. And then so they're like, yeah. I'm like, wait, so you don't have to like pay this back? And they're like, nah, you just got to keep straight A's. And I was like, really? So I enrolled myself. And that's where we actually met, is East LA College. We went to the same community college together. And then that was my entry into like the normal world. And I remember going to like a career fair, and you know how different industries booth, right? They'll have like the dentist or whatever. And you go up and they're like, are you interested in being a dental hygienist? And I'm like, what the hell is that? And then they're like, you clean teeth for 80 grand a year starting. And I'm like,
it's a lot of weed.
80 grand. Exactly. In my mind, I was like,
that's a grow up.
Exactly. I was like, you know how much hydroponics equipment I can buy with that shit?
Yeah.
So the funniest thing started happening in my mind was like the possibility of, hey, you can actually do like normal jobs and like earn really good money. I didn't know that.
So the realization was, I'm out here risking my life, my ass, for weed, when I can do normal jobs and get paid for weed anyways. If I go to school and just keep straight A's, this is the most like interesting decision matrix of how you've decided to become an upstanding member of society.
What's crazy though is like in that era, so we grew up in like late 90s, early 2000s. Like right now, looking back in retrospect, it sounds so stupid. But in that era, like gangster rap was 24/7 on all the radio stations. Entering into the real world didn't even like, it doesn't even make sense. You know, like the way that you thought, you're like, okay, so when I become an adult, either I gotta like go to jail, or I gotta like sell drugs, or I gotta be a gangster, or maybe I'll be if I really clean myself up, I could probably be an auto mechanic or something, you know? So it's like like you see people in suits, see like white collar professions, and it just seemed like a different world that we didn't have visas to cross into.
I always thought like to the barrier of entry for college, I thought that was for geniuses only. Like I thought just going through high school, I went to a high school called Gardena High before Mark Keppel, and it was like top 3 drug activity in Southern California. And it's a part of LAUSD, LA School District. And we had race riots there. It looked like all those old 90s movies of like Dangerous Minds and whatever, right? Like where the high school is just like a jail and everyone's fighting all the time. Teachers have no control. I had like classmates that would jump teachers because they felt offended with what the teacher said. There was a police station in my high school where you would have a bench with handcuffs, and like every day there was a kid in there in handcuffs for drug dealing or whatever. I think my reality was so skewed, and what was achievable was like so here. And I think looking back, people just don't know the difference between like living in Southern California, 15 minutes away. You're in an area that's a completely different culture, not just by race, but by like reality of what can be achieved. And all the students thought becoming a maybe manager at McDonald's or working at a grocery store, that was like a career and that was it.
Yeah, like that's a goal. Like,
that's
what you could do.
Yeah. Like jobs are jobs that you see every day. You work at the gas station. You don't know the people that work in the towers or like people that work in medical. It's like, that's why I'm like, when people talk about stereotypical Asian upbringing, I almost feel like they don't even know what it's like for the rest of us growing up in San Gabriel Valley or lower income or whatever. I think the stories that we always hear are a lot of the times upper middle class or like, you know, it's just people who have access to cameras and talking about this stuff. So I think there's a huge misrepresentation almost of like, there's a whole group of us out there, but we don't get camera time.
Yeah, it's like this myth of the model minority. Like, hey, every Asian was a nerd who like went to Harvard. Fuck those guys. But what's cool, to your point, you've now built your own presence and privilege of being on camera. It's like you get to now share those stories that for years people didn't give a shit about. And even now people aren't aware, but you've got your own platform now.
Yeah.
If the two of you had met in high school, what do you think that interaction would have been like?
Oh man. So we got to go back to who we were at that time. So I was actually in a gang too. So I remember going, all right, this gang stuff is no good. I got kicked out of school. My mom's fucking crying and shit in the front lawn. And I'm going, this is a new chance to be a good kid. So I'm like, you know what? Pointless violence is not good. I'll do one step up. We'll sell drugs then. So,
totally.
So
violence with a purpose.
Yeah. Yes. So that's like, and I'm like, and I'm providing something that people, they want to get high anyways. I'm not selling crack to children. Like this is my peers. They want to fucking roll. They want to go to raves. So like that was my way of like leveling up like one
of
bit.
Improving as a human being.
So that would be the person that I would have met. Joe, I don't know if he was still in like the gang world or whatever, but that's the person that I was. So at that time, I probably was way more friendly because I didn't really have so much of like, oh, I'm clicked up with this group, but fuck that group. I was just trying to like, oh, let's just meet everybody.
So you, from your side, might have gotten along.
Could be, or I could also been, so back then I could have been new meat at the school. And if his crew could have punked me or tried to bully me, like who the fuck's this new guy? Because it was very like the jail environment, but reproduced in high school too.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't grow up with the kids in the high school too. I was new meat. When I came in, they try to punk me too. But yeah, it's a different environment back then. I think we had mutual friends though that were like non-gang affiliated, like the raver friends.
Yeah.
So I think we would have been friends. Yeah.
So it's like you're either a member of a gang or you're a member of a rave.
Yeah.
It's one of the two.
That was it. And
then Mark Keppel High School was like the breeding grounds of Asian gangs in the San Gabriel Valley. And during that era, I think they call it like the Summer of Madness or something like that, where there was a nonstop like shootings happening back and forth. Now the San Gabriel Valley is a completely different place. I mean, in general, like gang activity all over the world, I think it changed from when we grew up. Because I think back then, everybody was somehow connected or affiliated with some type of criminal element. Like, because it was also fashion. Like, it was just a different time. Because now you can be connected to drugs, but not connected to criminals.
Yeah.
Or like gang activity.
It's like professionalized in a weird way.
Yeah.
In the past couple decades. Sort of the continuation. I mean, it sounds like for both of you, a lot of your human being character development came from the business entrepreneurial of, cool, like I'll sell drugs, but do it better. Right? You're like, hey, why am I giving money to the people upstairs? They don't care about me.
Yeah.
And for you, you're like, no more pointless violence. But I get it.
Yeah.
Because that got both of you to where you eventually met.
Yeah.
And I've heard you describe, so what was it? It was MMA? It was a fight club?
It was an MMA gym.
Yeah, we met at an MMA gym. We had some mutual friends that just rallied all of their friends together because they wanted more bodies to beat up. So there wasn't enough people at the gym at the time. It was really new too. MMA wasn't as like popular as it is today.
So how old are you at this point?
Like 19?
19.
Maybe? 18?
This is what, like 2000?
This might have been like UFC when the numbers were under like 20.
So it's still underground.
This is when
Yeah.
UFC was brand new.
Wow.
I don't even know if like it was broadcasted big yet. This is like early
Yeah.
on.
But
Yeah.
we started training there, and we would always goof around while everyone's like trying to be macho guys. And we'll still fight, but like we start cracking jokes all day.
Yeah, you start vibing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool. But also, how did the two of you, if MMA is so underground, how did each of you end up there?
Our mutual friends brought us together to go there.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
We were all into kind of like fighting anyway. And I think, yeah, we all did martial arts here and there, but like this kind of felt more practical.
Yeah, again, it's not pointless violence. Now it's professionalized violence.
Productive violence.
Productive violence.
violence.
Yeah, for male bonding purposes and, you know, being the shit out of each other, but
I
it's
remember-
friends.
Yeah.
Them and these guys had a group called the Peacemakers where they would justify beating people up because they would start fight. Not these guys. If other people started fights at college parties, they would be the security guard, the self-ordained security guards that would go and beat these guys up.
Oh, it's justified.
It's just
Again, it's just the
It's so
level.
stupid.
It's one level. No,
It's-
no,
it's
no.
a level
I'm
above
seeing-
drug
It's like
dealers.
you're like
Yeah.
slowly evolving.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
but now it's
right.
called the Peacekeepers, right?
Yeah,
And I'm like,
peacekeepers.
you guys just want a reason to beat somebody up
Yeah. It's just,
because you know when there's parties, whether you're at frat parties or whatever, there's always some tough people, right? That want to get a little like drunk and crazy.
Yeah.
And that gave these guys the green light to beat them up for.
You're just waiting for a justification.
Yeah,
You're like,
yeah.
hey, if anyone messes stuff up, you're like, you messing something up? You instigating something?
our plans were so stupid. We would go to these frat parties, and anyone that looked hard, like some dude that would like try to look hard, like we would go close to them, and then one of us will push each other into them. And depending on that person's reaction, if they're like, "Oh shit," they're like, "Oh, come, my bad." I'm like, "Oh, this guy's cool. This guy's cool."
stupid.
But if someone wanted to start shit, then it just turned
Bro,
into
you
a
were not
fight.
peacemakers. You were
No, they're
literally
instigators.
instigating.
No, exactly, instigators.
We're testing everyone's patience. We're angels. We're
okay.
angels sent from heaven to test people and see where their patience
I get it.
is
You're
at.
putting the temptation out there,
So stupid.
right? And
Yeah.
if they're chill, if they're good,
If they're chill.
we good.
Yeah.
If they're assholes, well, something was going to happen anyways. It's almost
Exactly.
like you're catching them ahead of time.
Yep.
See, before they make big mistakes.
Before,
you get it. So you
before
get it.
it's
I
called,
do want to emphasize here that this does not reflect our morality today. This
No.
is like us being dumb
obviously
knuckleheads.
things have changed.
Yeah,
Things have
right.
obviously
This is
changed.
what
No, I hope
yeah,
so.
yeah, yeah.
This one was so
No.
stupid.
I mean, you were like Minority Report, right? You're the pre-crime division.
yeah.
You're like, hey, you're just making sure people are going to be okay.
Yeah.
And so, were you part of the peacemakers?
No,
the
I
peacekeepers?
thought these guys were funny. I thought it was hilarious. I mean, we got into a couple of brawls, but for other reasons. But but yeah, like they've helped me catch somebody that bashed my car because they were jealous.
Wait, that's actually a valuable thing that's a good thing to do.
That might have been one of our last cases.
Yeah.
You're like a little superhero group.
Yeah, he got jealous that his girlfriend made cookies for me, and then he smashed up my car. So when we saw him, they found him, and then they didn't have anything to do with it, but we got into a nice brawl with all of his friends and us, and that was a nice bonding moment. But this was like, yeah, this was 20 years ago. I got to keep emphasizing, like, this is not
Obviously,
who we are
yeah.
today.
Yeah.
You know, we were kids. Like,
This is the evolution of idiots.
yeah, this is cavemen turning into not refined gentlemen, but like maybe human beings. I would never do those things today because I didn't really party anymore at that age.
Yeah.
They still went to parties, college parties, whatever. But at that time, I was really in this crossroads of like trying to be a better person, as funny as that sounds, while I was selling weed. But
It's better than heroin.
It is. It's a step totally in the right direction.
I actually maintained a 4.0 for like 2 years
Wow.
straight because someone told me that in order for me to keep my financial aid, I have to have a 4.0.
Yeah, that's important.
So it was the first time in my life where I applied myself, started reading. Like, dude, I probably read a paragraph an hour. Like, I was sounding out words like I was in fifth grade still, and I would read things over and over. And so I was able to maintain straight A's, and I started to actually love like learning. As stupid as that sounds.
No, it's good.
right.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. But that's kind of when the transition happened, I think, is like we would study a lot and we would meet up to study. But because we both have ADHD, the textbooks would be open and the next second we'll be in his backyard, like making a video.
Mm.
And then we would just be making stupid videos of people we mimic.
That was the next step of being better than fighting.
I like it.
Fighting people at parties.
You're just mocking people instead.
We're just mocking our friends, mocking our friends'
boys.
uncles.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
But that was the birth of Just Kidding Films.
Yeah.
Wow.
Is like I would make a video, send it to Bart, and then Bart was like, "That's hilarious," and he would make a video, send it to me, and we would send it to our friends. And after a while, well, we were using YouTube like Vimeo. We didn't know that it
just
had
storage.
We
Yeah,
had no
exactly.
idea it had a whole audience.
That was just a hosting site.
Yeah. So we would do these stupid ass characters and then just start sending it to our friends. And all of a sudden we would get like 100 views and we're like, we don't have 100 friends. Like, where are these views coming from?
Wow.
And we just kept making more videos together. And we're like, hey, let's do something. Let's make a channel called like Just Kidding Films.
And I remember you've described it. You're teaching like good things in bad ways.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
So you've realized like, hey, I can study. I want to keep good grades, start making videos. What was your mindset at this point? I know like 2008, you were also in the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
And I remember reading you wanted to be a doctor. So how did this shift from let's go be in the military full time, become a doctor, if I recall correctly, to yo, let's like do this as a thing?
I think in terms of upbringing, I have probably a little bit more relatable to the average Asian upbringing, where like Asian tiger parents, and then like the North Star ever since I was like in kindergarten is doctor, accountant, engineer, or something like that.
Yeah.
So I knew that's like where I was supposed to end up, but then just the context of the 90s, and also like how rebellious I was in nature, and also how controlling my parents were. I just never saw the connection of how is this life that I'm living ever gonna get to here. You know, so like I would get kicked out of elementary schools, junior high, high school. And then so eventually I felt like, okay, I'm not going to do pointless violence. I'll sell drugs. That's better. And then senior year, I actually joined the ASB. I'm like, what can I do to like give
What's
back?
the ASB?
Associate Student Body.
Oh,
when we
you're
plan events.
joining like the student government.
Yeah, I was like,
you went from gang life to the government.
yeah, I was actually really trying to like,
From gang to geek.
yeah, I was really trying to like get involved, you know? And then like, I remember being passionate at ASB meetings. I was like, dude, you fuckers, like all you motherfuckers do is fucking throw dances for your own homies. I'm like, what about those fucking geeks playing Magic back there? You guys don't give a fuck about them. So I would be at these meetings like hella passionate. And I was like, you need to put fucking posters, because those fools, they don't get fucking pussy. You need to bring those motherfuckers.
Like, we gotta help the nerds.
Yeah. These kids that were like, had probably a 3.5 GPA their whole life.
Yeah, good kids.
And then ASB is just part of their extracurricular to get into college. We came in and then we're like disrupting this whole culture that they already had. So we're like, what's this fucking circle jerk? You guys are doing fucking car washes for bullshit. I'm like, there's all these fucking geeks in the football field with no friends. What about that motherfucker smoking cigarettes by himself? And so we were really passionate trying to change things.
yeah.
And then, so that was me leveling up. And then, so finally I know, it's so dumb. And I finally graduated high school and I was like, I still see that North Star and I'm like trying to, in my mind, plot the trajectory. Like, how do I connect these dots? Like, I don't see it. And I'm like, maybe the next step is I need to join the military, because there's also doctors in the military. So I'm trying to like, in my mind, fulfill this like trajectory that I think all like.
Yeah, it's just no one told you what to do and how to get there.
Yeah.
Like both of you are just trying to do
just
good.
trying to figure it out. Yeah, just trying to figure it out. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna fucking join the military. So I ended up joining the Marine Corps in 2003.
Yeah. I sort of do see the natural evolution. We're like, okay, so these two gang members rolling up into this student body that these kids are just doing as like college extracurricular. And you're like, we got to help those who need us.
Yeah.
And evolving from that, like, okay, I
Like, you guys are
guess.
selling fucking brownies.
Yeah.
What the fuck's that gonna do,
Who cares
bro?
about this school dance? Like, do real change. And then you're sitting and you're like, well, like, somehow this is getting me to this North Star where, like, I'm gonna be a doctor. Like, military is the next step.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about for you? Like, when you were younger, did you also have this, like, longer term vision? Like, I do want to get here somehow.
I think well into my 30s, I just lived impulsively.
Yeah.
Without a future goal. And it's because my idea of what was possible was always one, you didn't know what was like possible, like going to college and stuff, right? Because whether it's self-esteem or what someone told me before, like I just thought college was for geniuses, but I was able to achieve that. And then the next thing was, I didn't know what my limitations were. So that actually worked in my benefit of being able to go toward YouTube or entrepreneurship. All these things became a necessity because I don't think anyone would have hired me, or I could have got a certain job, right? Like, most of my jobs I had were blue collar. Like I've been in shipping, all that stuff, manual labor. And even after college, that's when the economy went to shit, 2008, 2009, which was a blessing for both of us. Because if we had a decent job, it wouldn't be golden handcuffs, but we would have had silver handcuffs. Yeah. And we probably would have never went out and pursued YouTube.
Right.
But when that happened, we probably applied to over 40 places. And I, got a job doing what I did before, which is shipping. And Bart was like tutoring kids at like a center. And I'm like, we got these bachelor's degrees and we still are worthless in the job market. And so, we were like, what if we just go hard with this YouTube stuff? Because I mean, at the end of the day, if we're both going to get shitty jobs, we might as well, do something fun and try. That's when we made the commitment of like, all right, when I pay off my debt and I could save up a little bit of money, we can go full force. And so we created a schedule. And what we would do is Bart on his off time, because he would work part-time, he would be doing all the administrative stuff for JK. After 6 or 7 p.m. every day, we would meet up and we would write and work on stuff. And on the weekends, we would film. And we did this for about 1.5 years.
No breaks.
Insane. No breaks.
Like 52 weeks. Didn't matter if you were sick or whatever. We just did it because we knew that this is how we had to commit to it.
This is how you can make it.
Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. to 11, we would meet up to write whatever ideas we came up with during the day.
Yeah.
And then we would shoot it on Saturday and Sunday. And then it would go to our editor and he would edit while we work on the next pile of scripts. And we did that for a whole year until we got our YouTube channel up and running.
Yep.
And so you guys are going to business together. At the point when you decided to do it, would you already consider yourselves like best friends? Or was it more like, oh, I like this dude?
I don't even know if we put a title on it. We just like, at least for me, it was like, I like working in this environment. And ultimately, the lifestyle is what I want. And it was exciting to me to move toward that path than to stay in what I'm doing. Because it's like, I'm either just staying in shipping or that's it.
Taking a shot with this guy over here, the peacekeeper.
And I think he was going to become a doctor, but he realized like that wasn't what you really wanted to do.
Whack. I think, I don't know if we had a label like that, but we've also had enough friendship and enough of the building something organically where if there were to be like a best friend checklist, like loyalty, trust, or like getting along or similar values or whatever, they would all check off.
Right.
So I think it was very easy for us to organically get there because not once were we like, oh, is this motherfucker going to embezzle money from me?
Yeah, you
like,
just trusted each other implicitly. You didn't have, a
100%,
defined the friendship talk. It wasn't like, you're my best friend, I'm yours, but you just got along so well.
Just through organic things, we just trusted each other 100% and we knew we could rely on each other.
At least for me, because over time, when you go through struggle with someone, you kind of test their character, right? And if they don't fail you at any given point, you just keep going. Then when you do get into arguments or anything, you know that it comes from a place of like, hey, we're just trying to get what we think is best for each other in the company, because there's no sign of this is for me, right? Yeah. So when you come from a certain past too, like, and you got out of it, there's a lot of bonding there. Because what I've noticed is, and it's funny too, I just had this conversation recently with a couple of my friends. I'm like, once you uncover what happened in this guy's history, I'm like, no wonder we're close. There's an underlining trauma that we shared, whether it's from abuse or something, and then you climbed out of that we relate. And there's kids that didn't grow up with a certain thing. They live in a different world. There's like, you don't have this bond that's similar. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like, I think there is a mutual understanding that we have of loyalty that surpasses just friendship from the normal world. Like, I think there's a level of loyalty that and code of ethics, even though they say there's no honor among thieves, like when you come from that gang background, the ones that get it and they won't violate certain things, there's like that closeness that we have. Because there's a difference between guys that would cover up crimes for you versus guys that would like kind of dodge you when you need help.
Yeah, I would say like the difference is almost like when I see startups, it's almost like the arrangement is dictated by the paper, the contract, right? So like, let's say you guys form the next Facebook or whatever, you guys end up selling whatever the shares and percentages are on that paper, that's how it's divvied up. And then like, let's say there's another person that's been in the shadows that put in crazy work. They're like, I'm sorry, you weren't one of the founders. For us, when we got our first really big check, we actually went down the list of even people that don't work with us anymore.
Wow.
And we still sent them a small thing just because to us, I think from that world, your word is more important than what's on the paper. The paper is just there to fucking file.
Formality, whatever.
Formality, file taxes or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's like, what do we say we're going to do? And then we're going to deliver on that. And that's even more important than what the paper says.
Yeah, it's like when you grow up, look, to your point, it's not like you grew up with so much privilege. You grew up with a lot of shit going on where it's actually in some ways hard to be able to trust someone. But then if you can, you know it's real. Like you mentioned, hey, this guy comes and smashes up your car. Like you come through for that. Like you didn't have to.
We didn't have a contract.
No. It didn't make any sense.
There's no agreement with equity. If my car gets wrecked, you come through. But you show that level of trust. Like it's almost... It's like more almost like it's a brotherly type thing than it is just business partners. You know, that's sort of where I get that.
I think that's, you nailed it. Where I was talking to my wife about this is like, she goes, the way that your relationship with like Bart and Gio and this set of friends, she's like, that's like a relative. Like it's not just best friends. And then I'm like, yeah, that's true. I think there's different layers to it. Once you achieve a certain level of trust and comfort, then you know that the bond supersedes everything. And so when I do see other organizations, there's a lot of short-sightedness because what they don't value is the friendship and maybe what supersedes the friendship might be the bottom line or whatever. And we've forgone like a lot of opportunities because we felt that at the time, you know, the relationship and all that was better than the short-sighted opportunities. Yeah.
I mean, that's why you guys are still together after 17 years of doing business and more friendship.
And more business as we started investing in food groups and like all those
you spun out so much from the YouTube part. At what point did you guys look at JK and be like, hey, like it's beginning to work. Like this is a business. And how did that change your relationship with each other?
No, I mean, it's always been a lifestyle first and then business second. So
the first time I realized was, so up until that point where me and Joe were like writing Monday through Friday, having the other job, then shooting on the weekends. I think our YouTube channel was like making like $2,000 a month or something. And then how we would split it is I think Joe got $1,000, I got $1,000, and I think Gio maybe got $500 or something. It was something like that. It was like something ridiculous, like barely surviving.
Damn.
And then so I was like, in my mind, I'm like, I don't know if this is sustainable or if this is even a viable business, but this was the first time in my life that I felt excited about something. Everything else that I ever did, like trying to like do ASB or trying to be good at school, I felt like those were things that I was like, you're supposed to do, but I hated it. But I'm like, I guess it's kind of like running, right? Like everyone knows you're supposed to run, but who the fuck actually likes running? So I felt like, damn, is your whole life just filled with doing shit you hate?
Yeah.
Until I started doing JK. Then I was like, dude, I don't know if this is sustainable, but I love this. This is super fun. And then we just kept, because of that, we're able to keep going. And then when we first started getting signed by MCN, remember MCNs back then?
Multi-channel networks. Yeah.
Then they were able to sell better ads. And I remember we getting better CPMs. And I remember our first month, we made $6,000. but that's split between me, Joe, our director, Gio, another director, and like another intern, like 6 people.
That's not a lot. Yeah.
I was like, it's split a lot,
Yeah.
but it was still $6,000.
Yeah.
And then I was like, dude, 6 times 12,
That's a lot
that's
of-
72 grand a year.
That's a lot of weed.
I'm like, that, yeah. I was like, that's insane. And that was the first time in my mind, I was like, dude, this is not chump change, you know, like
Yep.
17, even though it's split a lot.
No, this is a salary.
Yeah, this is like a salary for someone from one channel of us putting on stupid ass costumes and doing shit. That was like my first like realization of like, wow, we have like a real viable thing here.
I remember when we started to believe that it can happen was when we were working, we were still at our jobs, and an article from Yahoo came out showing all the top 20 creators on YouTube, which were our peers, like Kev Jamba, like Michelle Font, all these people we knew, right? And they're making like $100,000, $150,000, whatever. At that time, that was crazy. Making 6 figures on YouTube, we're like, are you like our friend is making more than a doctor? You know?
Yeah.
That was like, I mean, now you got kids making 30 mil a year reviewing toys, right? But back then, that was like crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Because, I mean, at that time, everyone was, if you said you were a YouTuber, first of all, people hated being called a YouTuber because it was embarrassing. All YouTubers didn't want to be YouTubers. We wanted to be we wanted to be musicians, comedians, whatever. It was only a stepping stone to getting where you want to be. And, at the time, like when that article came out, we're like, hold on, you can make this kind of money and we can like pursue what we want to do while we can like sustain and live like this. That gave us a lot of hope to take that, you know, leap of faith. I think that at the time when people would be like, oh, you're a YouTuber, does that thing make money? And they said that probably 5-10 years after that too. Oh, you do YouTube? That thing makes money, right? And by all means, I mean, it's, you know, people are going to assume that because they have no idea how it works. But now it's like clearly they're like, oh, you're a YouTuber. Oh, wow, that's crazy. Like you can make a lot on that.
So at what point did you realize when you're making this money, does this change how you start to think about it? Like you have something to lose. I got to be more careful. Or is it like, nah, just keep going, keep writing. Who knows how long this lasts? Like, I don't know.
For me, it was, as long as I can pay my bills and I can keep this lifestyle, it was great. Like we were like carnies and rock stars. We were just blowing it, living it, going on tours. We were creating, and like for me, I was already surpassing what was possible.
Yeah, it's like you guys didn't even dream about this.
No.
And so just to even get to live it is insanely good.
I remember the first time, I think, maybe feeling a little bit of like, oh shit, our empire is going to shrink a little bit, was we started building a bunch of channels, bigger and bigger and bigger, and we just kept putting more time into it.
How many channels do you have?
So at the peak, we were running like Just Kidding Films, Just Kidding News, Just Kidding Party, Ask the Feels. We have
Just Kidding Gamer.
Just Kidding Gamer, full-blown staff. And they're like, we need to be a studio. So we ended up getting this really big space, and that was like 17 grand a
Holy
month.
shit. So you guys are making hundreds of thousands at this point.
Yeah.
And then we're a 7-figure company at that
You're
point.
making millions.
Yeah. And then our rent was like 17 grand a month, but it was like nothing compared to what we're making. We're like, okay, this is cool. We have full payroll. Like people were paying, like they're raising their families on it. It was like this machine. We're like a miniature Comedy Central.
Yep.
And I think kind of like that whole like NFL football mentality where you're like, wait, how can you go homeless or get broke if you're making millions?
Yeah.
Well, algorithms change, ad spend change. So like when you're locked into those leases, they're like 5 years long.
Shit.
So when ads started to take a turn, but then like if the lease is still here, that's when I first realize, oh shit, the margins aren't like what used to be, oh dude, this is super in the green
money.
Yeah, now you're like, oh shit, like the yellow is not too far. And that was like the first time.
Especially you described like when you first got that big paycheck, you just sent money to everyone.
Yeah.
Because like the way I'm seeing this, there's a reason why gangs exist is when you're growing up. I'm serious. Hear me out. when you're growing up and there is shit everywhere and no one's coming and giving you those opportunities, you have to stick together to try and figure out what works. And I mean, the two of you coming from gang backgrounds, you've stumbled on this new crazy thing, YouTube. You've built a business out of it. There's still a lot of that family mentality there. Because you guys have stuck with each other. So it's like you start to make money. Of course, you want to expand. You want to support people, their families. You want them to make their lives off of this. And on the other side, YouTube's still so new, the algorithms, things are changing. And so that's scary. When you're like, I've built an empire that supports me and my own and my homies. And like, why the fuck is AdSense dropping now?
Yeah, that was a crazy time.
Yeah, that was the first time we're like, oh shit, damn, like our revenue isn't just based off of the work we put in. There's like external third, fourth, fifth factors.
I can't control this.
Yeah, I can't control where things are going, you know?
So what did you do? How did you make that adjustment?
So we ended up starting to like, actually, I think slowly start to put the business hat on and then go, okay, we need to get rid of this space, maybe sublease part of it, and kind of slowly figure out how do we make sure that we stay in the green? How do we keep our cost of operations low? How do we like adjust? Because at that time, I think it was, we would write paychecks more so based off of what we were comfortable with spending versus what the market value was. So like, it would be like, oh, dude, like we have this much margin. Dude, edit this 30-second thing. Here's like 5 Gs.
Yeah, you're like, you're a homie. You've done this with me. Go for it.
Versus like, wait, what? How much do editors make per hour? Like, and then try to base it off that. So we slowly kind of had to like officialize things, understand what market value is, and kind of bring our business model back to like to reality.
Yeah, everyone worked 11 months and got paid for 12. We did we gave whole month off during the holidays so they could be with family.
It's fucking insane.
We also did all-inclusive trips once a year with the whole team for team bonding. And it'll be international trips. Like trips to Japan ain't cheap for like 20-something people, you know? And lodging and food was included. And we would try to do 2 bonuses throughout the year. So like we came up with really, you know, generous, fun kind of programs that I wish we could have sustained. I'm surprised how far we went without any mentorship. Because everyone talks about like the whole mentor thing, but like when we started YouTube, we were the beginning. So there weren't many people in the space that can kind of show us the ropes. And like now there's so many finance guys on YouTube, right? That's teaching actual business. Back then there was none of it. And like we would read books like Rich Dad Poor Dad or whatever,
Kiyosaki.
Right? Yeah, but that only scratches the surface. Like there's nothing out there that teaches you how to kind of create a whole entire media company. And even if we knew people, they were like peers. Like Wong Fu, like we all kind of came around the same era. We were doing the same mistakes. We would, you know, try to share stuff with each other, but it's, I think, so much more different for the people coming up today. They're so much more business savvy. They're not trying to reinvent the wheel. Like they have kind of like a path to follow.
There's a playbook now.
Even with sponsorships and all that stuff, there's an industry. There's everything around it. So I think I hope people are learning from the mistakes of our generation and the things that we did, but also reaping the benefits of what was paved from our generation too.
You guys have kept this up for 17 years. What do you think makes you different? Has helped you keep going?
I think we haven't burnt out with what we do.
And I think it's fun. I think I think that's like the double-edged sword. I think when like fun is your KPI, I think it's hard to grow fast because you don't go, what are the things that are actually like the big needle movers? And then like, let's channel resources and double down on those things. And then that's explosive growth, right? But then when you keep chasing certain objectives and metrics, I think it comes to a point where like the success kind of starts separating from what like lights your heart on fire. For us, it's always been about fun. So what makes me happy or makes us happy? So it's always been that way. So like we'll do 5 videos that literally get bad views, but we love those videos. So we just keep doing them. But at the same time, because we love them, we can keep doing them. So by the time when people start burning out because of, they're like, oh shit, like who am I anymore? Like I started doing YouTube because I wanted to do these, but this is what you guys want from me. So I went from a beauty person to now like a travel vlogger. For us, we're like, we've always been like clowns, and we just love being clowns. And then so I think that's what has helped us out.
Is that mentality where sure, maybe short term you weren't always making the best business decisions. But in a weird way, that mentality is what's kept you going.
I fly twice a month to LA from Hawaii just to film with the guys. And every single time, I mean, JK News, we've been going on strong for over a decade, and it still feels cool.
I mean, I remember when I was with you guys, I told you at the end, this is the most fun pod I've ever done. I'm just, because it feels like I'm just shooting the shit.
Exactly.
That's our objective.
Which is like,
is it fun?
It's insane, by the way. No, you're right. It's because like you're in Hawaii, you're in Vegas. You guys are married. You have a kid, and you are still flying to LA
just to get together,
just to shoot film with the dudes. Just
we
to hang.
even got a buddy Steve who comes through, and he loses money every time just to come through, but he does it anyway because he loves it so much.
That's insane. And not to mention, you guys have other businesses now. Rival Brigade, Junbi. So at what point in the YouTube career did you two decide to start spinning up other businesses?
For me, it wasn't like, here's my business plan thing. It was very organic. So Bartle Brigade, one thing led to another. It was doing the JK stuff. People are like, oh, you're fit. You look like you're lift. Like, how do you train? And that went into like, okay, I'll just open up a workout channel. And then from the workout channel, I'm like, oh, you know what? Like, let's do some competitions. Like, let's do like a couple of journeys. That would be pretty cool. And I fell in love with competition. And I was like, oh, wait, powerlifting. This is really cool. Oh, there's no powerlifting gym in LA. So it was kind of like,
oh, just step by step.
Just step by step. Okay, we'll open a powerlifting gym, have a powerlifting brand, and then now powerlifting is huge, and there's all kinds of crazy.
You guys help bring it to mainstream. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, there's all this, and so it was just like that. It wasn't like, what's the market void here? You know, it was like,
like that's what the MBAs do. Like, what's the opportunity?
Yeah. Like it was never like a super like premeditated thought. It was just one thing just led to another.
What about you for Junbi?
Yeah, Bart's also a original investor for Junbi too, and all the food groups. But one of my closest friends from high school, they like did the whole early retire thing from they went to New York.
Financial independence.
And then they're like, I'm bored, and I didn't, it's not all cooped up to what I thought it'd be. So he moved back to LA from New York, and he goes, I want to do this food concept, and I'm like, what is it? And then it got me thinking. I was like, we have a massive audience, and one of the things that restaurants, why they fail is because they don't have that marketing. So I was like, what if we create like a syndicate of influencers and we invest into businesses, and then we bring our own following to kind of inject the jumpstart of that? And that just became the beginnings of Junbi and Shrimp Daddy and all these other concepts that we came up with. And for me too, I think it's funny, like I didn't know anything about food, but at the time I thought it would be more stable than YouTube, which turned out to be the opposite. The food industry is brutal. It is brutal.
Actually, running restaurants and running gyms, that shit is hard.
It is
hard.
But
it's hard.
It's like that ignorance is going back to my impulsivity and ignorance, and I don't know what I don't know, right? I don't know what my limitations are until you get in and you're like, oh shoot, but I'm making it work.
Wow.
We got this going. I think we have 7 stores now for Junbi. We got 8 on the way this year. I personally opened up a shop myself in Waikiki with my partner David So and my cousin, because we were like in Hawaii and we're like, it'd be cool if we have like a little spam musubi shop right here, and it gives us a reason to be in Hawaii longer. And then David was like, we have concepts. Why don't we just bring one over here? And I was like, it would be a great like exercise for me to open up a store myself to see how bulletproof our franchise program is. So I went and, undertook like that, being an operator, trying to see if I can run it, and then report back to the whole group, like we can improve this, this, and this. And I'll tell you this, opening up like a restaurant or a tea shop or something is harder than YouTube. Way harder than YouTube.
Brick and mortars are tough.
It's tough.
They're tough.
It's like, you made the point earlier about you have been locked into these 5-year leases for the channel. Well, like now you've got leases for literally running your restaurant, running your gym. What percentage of your time would you say you now spend on those brick and mortar businesses relative to YouTube?
Like 90.
Wow.
For our gyms, we just hit 10 years. So now I would say probably like less than 5%, but it took a long time to get there. A long time.
Is there ever a world where those become the focus beyond the channel? Like, do you think there's ever like, oh, you know, JK's great, it's had a long run, but I got to grow the gym, I got to grow the food business? Or you're like, nah, like the channel's what keeps you feeling alive.
I think for me now, after having a kid, that's what kind of determines, like, you know, like when you do like a Ouija board together, and it's like everyone's hands on it, and everyone's like, oh, where are we going to go? Are we moving over here? Are we moving over here? I think for me, once I had the kid, that what became like kind of the pointer, like leader. So for me, it's almost like, before I had a dream of like, I really want to make a movie one day or have all these bucket list things. The minute I had a kid, I was like, dude, I want to spend more time with them.
Wow.
I don't give a fuck if I ever make a movie. I'll bag groceries at Ralph's to make it work. Like almost everything that I thought was important didn't matter anymore.
For him now.
And it's just for him. So obviously, like, he has a pretty good life. So now I am able to focus on myself, second, third, fourth, fifth priorities. So for me, it would be like every move that I make is does it make his life better? Does it increase the time we have together? That's
You're giving him a life with benefits that you two both never had.
Oh, dude, his life is fucking way better than mine.
Like I don't think
so spoiled.
I don't think he's gonna end up in a gang.
Nah.
If he does, I'm gonna whoop his ass like crazy.
It's like I did as kid, I had to. Why the fuck would you go do this?
Right?
And him and his fucking new pussy ass friends. I don't even know what they know what a gang is.
Are you like a tiger dad, or you're like,
No.
do what you want?
No, I think there's a lot of good values from that generation.
Yeah.
So I kind of take away the techniques, but I understand the values and I try to instill it in the new way and also instill it in a way with like the new modern way of parenting and try to find like a sweet spot with both.
What about you? Do you want to have kids?
Yeah, I think kids are awesome, but the way that my life, I mean, I'm split between 3 cities. And I recently married, right? So 2022.
Yeah, which was, I know, like a surprise. You got married in one day and you're like, hey guys, we've been married for a while.
Yeah. No, we really just got eloped real quick. On the same month, we bought a house, got married, and moved 3 times. It was pretty wild. But yeah, I think I do eventually want to do it, but I want to have enough time for the kid too. Like, I don't want to repeat the same thing my parents did with being overwhelmed with, you know, like a lot of us have that same like latchkey background, right? Where it's like you're alone and you're just like, Dad, you never come to my games, man. You know? Right?
I did a pod with Johnny Dumbfounded, and I remember he told me he doesn't think he's ever spoken with his dad for more than a minute in his life. When he thinks of his dad, he just pictures a Korean dude with a newspaper in front of him.
Seriously, yeah. And it's more, I think it's like our generation is probably having less kids because they don't want to repeat the same things that happened to us.
You described me literally. Like, I feel like, you know, it's funny. I've told a lot of people why and how I haven't had a kid yet, or I'm not sure I want to. And a lot of times they don't get it. You two get it exactly. Like, the reason why I don't have a kid right now, and even why I'm frankly scared, is because of like, man, I don't want to be a shitty dad.
I think the fact that you're scared is going to prove that you're going to be a good dad. Because I think a lot of our parents and just even parents of that past generation and even current generation, the main thing is the lack of self-awareness, that they're not even thinking about whether or not they're being a good parent. You know, they're just reacting. Like, kid does something, they just react, shut the fuck up or whatever, you know? I don't even think they have this thought process. Like yesterday, Gio was telling me, Gio's my wife, that she was playing with Taika in his room, and then they just started having like a conversation like between 2 human beings. Not like mom, son or anything, just 2 having a good just like a conversation. And then she asked Taika, she's like, is there anything I can do to be a better mom to you?
Wow.
And then when I heard that, I was like, hold the fucking phone. I'm like, dude, there's a fucking HR in this fucking relationship. I'm like,
this feedback?
Yeah, I'm like, when do people ever conduct any type of debrief in relationships? I'm like, that is fucking powerful, you know? And I think that's because of our generation. We've been able to go, dude, these are all the things that fucked us up. How do I not pass that down? How do we open the lines of communication so much more? And then Taika tells you, like, no, you're literally the best mom ever. Like, there's nothing better you can do. And I'm like, it wasn't like, I want more chocolate. Or, I was like, that's fucking cool.
I love, you're trying to be better. It reminds me, I just went to a wedding of an Asian American creator, and I ended up like talking a lot with her dad. We've never met before, to be clear. He told me, obviously, he's so happy for his daughter to get married. But he told me, he has another daughter, the firstborn.
Oh,
she's not at the wedding because they're estranged. And he told me one of the biggest regrets he's had is how hard he was on her with the expectations, that he tried so hard to be better for his second daughter, who we're at the wedding at now, because he saw what happened with the first, and like the firstborn, she's not there. And I'm like, I've been telling this story a lot over the past few days because, like, in the beginning, I don't get like, I'm like, whew, it's like, what a concept, right? And I'm like, I wish my dad, what you just said, that relationship debriefing that Gio had with Taika, I'm never going to get that from my dad. And I understand why. It's not because he doesn't love me. He's not trying his best. It's just not the culture he comes from.
Yeah, I think that is the struggle that a lot of Asian Americans with, like, immigrant parents and these ideas and concepts and all that, it doesn't exist in their mind. So if there's no word for it and an understanding of it, how are they going to be aware of it? I've been kind of thinking about that too with like my family members and all that. I've accepted a long time ago because my father left when I was 14, right? And you have to come to a point of acceptance when you've been abandoned and whether neglected, like, literally, or some people are neglected even though their parents are there, right? But you have to also one day become the adult and realize that your parents were children too. And when you hear their stories and you go, maybe they didn't do such a bad job for what they came up doing, right? So when I heard my father's story, his own mom died giving birth to him. Wow. So he's never had a mother. And then the stepmother that he had was like, it's really like a Disney story where you have an evil stepmother, right? She loved her own children, but was really mean to him. Bad. And then so with all of the shitty examples that he's had from parental figures and being neglected, I thought he didn't do a bad job. He stuck around till I was 14. I had a good childhood. So he gave me the fighting chance of seeing what it's like to have both parents until I was 14. Not everyone's that fortunate. Some people, they don't have a dad at all because they leave at childbirth or whatever, right? Yeah. So I had to look at the silver lining behind all of it and then go, well, maybe if he did better than his own father, he won. And then now it's my job to do better than my own father and then my kids and so on. So you just can't compare yourself to a healthy family that's way light years beyond because generationally, they might have done a really good job or their father did a good job learning and bettering themselves. So we're all running these different races, right? And I think in the Asian American community, we tend to forget like all the stuff we're exposed to, like the Western philosophy of using reason and logic. And in Asia, it's Confucianism. It's a top-down hierarchy. You just have to obey. So they don't have the ability to reason and take on different perspectives and try to like figure out things for themselves. So I'm like, with that culture clash, right? How do you expect them to automatically understand what's taken us years to develop? Yeah, I think that whole experience is like, can you accept the rest of your life being okay with your parents never being able to express themselves like a white dad?
Yeah, actually.
Right? And because there are ways that they'll show you they love you, but it's not going to be done in the way that you want them to. It could be in the most obnoxious way, like where they're lecturing you for 2 hours of how stupid you are. But that's like actually them trying to say I love you, but it's so obnoxious.
Yeah. I've thought about this a lot too, in terms of what you said, like you make peace with the background you had.
Yeah.
Because there's probably so much I've internalized from my relationships with my parents that affects how I am in my own romantic relationships. And it's like, for me, it's like, I've got to make that peace with myself to accept before I can be better.
Yeah, 100%, man. I think we're all looking to fill a void, right? Like a lot of people's anxieties and whatever issues they're trying to work out, there's something that was either painful or missing that they haven't resolved. And you go throughout life trying to supplement that. And a lot of the times it can go dark, turn into addiction, can turn into all these other things where you're obsessing, trying to fill this void, but it's the wrong shit. Like we might be workaholics, we might be sex addicts, whatever it is, right? But I think that once you can identify what that void is and you can fill that in a healthy way, then you start to see real change. But the hardest part is to see what that is, because I guarantee you your friends could probably see what it is.
Oh, yeah.
But our ego prevents us from pinpointing it and also being aware when it's happening. Because when you're on autopilot, you're being triggered or whatever, it's not apparent to you that you're doing the thing that's actually preventing you from getting what you want.
Yeah. I think to that, my last point for you two, that same relationship debriefing you described your wife had with Taika, or what you just described, your friends know each other so well. When you look at each other, what do you see as each other person's like greatest strength that you appreciate that in other situations can also be a detriment? Because I think a lot of times our greatest weaknesses are our greatest strengths, just overextended in the wrong contexts. Like you guys have literally known each other for what, like over 2 decades?
Yeah.
At this point, at a time when many YouTubers have quit, when frankly, most business partnerships, most friendships don't last this long, you've made it work. And so, yeah, I'm just like, fascinated.
No, I agree about the same things. Like people have like these strengths that can be weaknesses. Like someone who's very caring can also be like walked all over or whatever. Yeah.
Like when you look at Bart, what do you see that?
I think it's probably his strength is probably like discipline, right? Like he's very like disciplined when it comes to having a goal and then having a schedule around it. But we always make fun of him about his schedule because it's so unmovable that even he says it himself, where like he loses out on the spontaneous friendship stuffs that can happen because of his schedule is so compact and unmovable, where it's like, oh, I can't go past this time. So then it doesn't leave the room for those types of spontaneous things that can happen in a real friendship or whatever.
Yeah, there's a structure to your life that helps you keep control.
Yeah, I think it helps me with like my ADD and then my anxiety.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was listening to this one podcast and it was like really funny. This guy, he's like a crazy former military dude with crazy PTSD. And he says the reason why he clicked with this new minister that he's been talking to and mentoring him is he already had it planned out. This is what I need to do to fix my life. And then the minister took that piece of paper and threw it back at him. And then he's like, oh shit, this guy's fucking different. What the fuck? And then he says what makes this minister so great is actually his ADD. Because after they eat, he sprints to his car. And he goes, dude, why are you sprinting to your car? Because he goes, because walking is a waste of time. And I was like, dude, that's so me. I've been like that. Like if I could, I'd probably run around the house because I feel like there's so many things that are a waste of time and it drives me nuts. But that's why the schedule, it's like, it keeps my brain sane because I'm like, okay, I don't have to run as long as I do this by this time. You know, so it kind of feels like
if you don't have it, you know, you lose track.
I'll lose track. My brain goes fucking crazy and I'll feel like I'm like this in this endless roller coaster that's going in like figure eights.
Yeah.
So I think the schedule, but
I mean,
yeah,
dude,
like,
you were early even today. You were like, I am here.
Yeah. Cause I go, okay, this is at 2. I better leave by 1. And then I don't know, just like, even though it's probably not that far, but then with what Joe's saying, it's like, it does fuck up with a lot of the spontaneous friendship things.
But I've been friends with him for so long that I've accepted this aspect about him, but I didn't truly understand it until about a week ago when we talked about his dietary like strictness, right?
Yes.
And then how what I realized is that when Bart relapses, he relapses hard.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he
Hardcore.
has to stick to this routine with everything because one thing can domino effect. If he does a little bit of a bite of something,
It's all gone.
then it's like 2 weeks of failure, right? So this is where I understood like,
Yeah.
okay, that's why he has to be on this routine and non-negotiable because if he does, then he never gets to accomplish anything, which has benefited our friendship and our business relationship because I'm the polar opposite. So then I can kind of lean on some of that scheduling and then like work myself around whatever we have for JK. And that becomes my stability.
I have the exact same relation with my co-founder.
Really?
I'm the Bart.
Yeah.
Like I am
you're
so
a schedule guy.
rigid in every day. I need to get my workout in.
Yeah.
At least 6 times a week. And I'm so specific in what I eat. And in fact, my co-founder also had this realization because my co-founder, he's Korean. He loves good food.
Yeah.
Go out and feast. And for him, he gets to know a person by eating with them, by drinking with them, by smoking with them.
Yeah.
And he told me a year ago, he's like, he mourns that he can't do this with me. Like,
so this is one of my friends. He's a bodybuilder, professional bodybuilder. This is what he taught me. And I've actually done it a couple of times now. What he does is to not miss out on the cool shit like
bring
that.
your own food?
No.
Okay.
He will fast a full 24 hours.
Yes.
To balance out the calories, but to make sure he earned it, he fasts first. If you're trying to hit 2 goals at the same time, that's like
I love Joe. This whole so you're just looking at it. It's like, what the fuck is wrong?
You guys love pain. No, I think you guys are a great example of ADHD meets OCD.
Yeah.
I'm full on ADHD with no OCD.
What about when you look at Joe? When you look at him, you're like, this is something I really appreciate you, but also sometimes drives me crazy.
I think one of Joe's greatest attributes is he will never quit. So he is tenacious, and no matter what, he'll never quit. He'll never pull the plug.
Sometimes I wish I do, man.
And he'll see it to the end.
Wow.
So that is also, I guess, the weakness part, where sometimes when it is time to quit, or if we see that the ship is like literally going down, he's like, no. There's like a cartoon where like 90% of the ship is in the water.
Yeah.
And then only he's standing on the piece of wood. He goes, nah, I got hope. This thing will turn around. So I think that's the other tough part.
The detriment, the downside, is this in situations where Bart, you're like, dude, just leave the 10% of the boat behind. Like, we'll get a new boat. Like, is this situations where you're like, you think actually it's better to move on?
What's cool is it's never really manifested in our business, but in like relationships, we've seen that happen. And then I think in business, at the end of the day, Joe's also very like level-headed.
Yeah.
So there's times where we have shut down channels. Like we have seen, okay, you know what, like this opportunity cost.
That's
if
right.
we put it back into here, this has a way greater ROI. So it's never been like a theme that was a detriment.
Yep.
But that is his personality, where he's like, he's super optimistic, so nothing will ever fail. But then at the same time, because of that, there might be a couple red flags, and he's not seeing them.
He's diving in.
Yeah.
Oh no, you're 100% right. I think I always bite off more than I can chew because of my inability to see risk.
Yeah.
Until it's too late, and then I'm just like, well, I'm committed. I'm so committed. There's no other way to turn this. I'm still like, I have
all
to do it.
into this relationship. We are not
to
leaving.
do it. Yeah. And I think there has been times in business too where like, sunken loss. Like there's like, I'm just like, I have to catch up because I spent so much already, and there's no way I can turn back from now. And also, I just don't like the feeling of giving up. Like it feels like, I feel like you give up when you end it, not when you fail. You know what I mean? Like you can fail a ton of times, but then maybe you just needed to give it a
you're
little
stubborn.
10%. Yeah, I am. But I'm starting to realize now, like, there's a bit of, maybe arrogance or ego that comes along with that I need to stop doing. Because it's like, clearly, well, for example, I'm living in 3 cities and I have all these business projects that I keep launching, right? And clearly, like, I'm not going to be able to do all of them 100%, because most people just run one business 100%.
Yeah.
But I get so excited that I lose sight of the reality of how difficult it's going to be. And then like I get amnesia. It's like how I hear from women all the time, like, childbirth is hard. And then they get amnesia and they do it again because they want another kid. And I feel like that's exactly how I feel with like being excited about another business project, and you go and then you're in it and you're like, oh my God, I'm so like, I haven't even stabilized these other projects and I'm doing another one. Why?
Yeah.
Why did I get here? You know? And then it's like a weird, like living so much in the moment that you're blind to your reality of what you can take on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
So I'm like, fuck me, man. That's too much. Yeah.
Last question for both of you. What's a moment where you've disagreed with each other, but how you resolved it? And then what's a moment when you've remembered, you're like, fuck, I am so goddamn grateful to be with this other human being here.
I don't know if we've actually disagreed that big where it's like a big memorable thing.
Okay.
But I think a moment where I'm like, thank God I'm with Joe is just like the whole 17 years thing.
Yeah.
Like we've had a lot of peers in this space that have had partners, YouTube channels, other entrepreneurs, other business owners. And when I hear some of their like war stories, I'm like, damn, that's fucking crazy. Like, thank God I had a partner that I trusted 100%.
Yep.
And then Joe's friendship to me is more important than the business.
Yeah.
From embezzlement to deceit and like,
Yeah.
and then they'll be business partners for over decades and stuff.
Wow.
Getting going into a sue match, or like there's so many people that fall apart.
But we've never had anything like that. And so like that's a huge blessing. And the only like drama or any other that like complications we've had is outside of our group.
Right.
Outside of me and his trust.
Totally.
You know, versus I've seen other ones where it's like the main founders have beef and then that stuff falls apart and becomes a big messy thing. And we've never had that.
I love that.
Yeah.
I've always been thinking, like, what has been the secret to your success? And the answer is friendship. Actually,
real
yeah,
friendship.
genuine.
Real,
You gotta
real
like,
friendship. Real friendship.
you know,
Yeah.
I think they say like business partnership is like marriage, or sometimes even
Yeah.
crazier, because then you're like mixing finances and you're like tied. There's so many things that you're gonna spend a lot of hours together. You might as well fucking like this person. There's so many projects and ideas, but like, why get in bed with the guy that annoys the fuck out of you?
Yeah. And the two of you've grown on this step-by-step journey together from pointless violence to pharmaceutically directed violence to pharmaceutically directed, but like for myself type work to
Comedy.
exactly.
I know,
Well,
right?
in between, there's also the peacekeeper era. We're like,
Peacemaker.
still, you know, getting and throwing hands, but on behalf of others to let's just film videos to, oh, now it's working to, this is a business to, this is an empire to, this is something lasting, even while you have wives and businesses and already a kid and maybe more.
Yeah.
And I honestly, I just think that's fucking beautiful.
Thank you, man.
Thank you both so much for making time.
It's been a cool journey for sure.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's one of those things where like the last 17 years, if you ask like the Bart of that time, like, what do you think the next 17 years would look like? I would never have been able to describe what has happened.
Yeah.
It's just been like a crazy, long, surprising in a good way journey. It's been pretty cool.
Been pretty crazy.
Oh, you're going to be able to give your kids the life that you two didn't have.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
That's what he
I'm
has
gonna give
right
him a
now.
worse life.
You're like, I know exactly which direction you're going to go in.
Trauma builds character. Let's
Guys,
not make it too easy.
Thank you so much. That's a wrap.
All right.
Thank you, man.
Thanks for having us, Eric.